So here we are for the Barnet Boxing Barber. We're with the man, the myth, the legend, Malcolm Martin. How are you this evening?
Hi, Clint. Well, first things first, mate. Congratulations on your last bout. It takes immense courage to step back in after your first bout and not only do that, but then get the win. You must be feeling great, mate.
I feel great. I found out a lot about myself with these 2 fights that I've had in Swindon. I couldn't live with myself after that loss with Tillen, but I managed to jump back in and be victorious last week, and I'm very, very pleased with myself.
Good. That's great to hear. I said, it takes a lot of courage, as we said, for anyone, but to do that, come in second time and right the wrongs. And a little Dickie Bird told me you got the bug now and you'll be back in again.
Yeah, we're going to be fighting in this very ring here, February the 24th, with the best of the best with Tank Promotions.
Well, the thing is, Clint, I will be there, and I'm glad you've interviewed me today, because everybody saw I put on a post that said I retired, and I must say now I am so grateful. You saw the response. The response was very, very humbling. But the retirement was about the fact I'm 64 next year. It's the travel, Clint, all over the country, every Saturday, every Sunday. But I live in Swindon. So for Steve or Rich, you'll still see me here because it's local, it's down the road. When I meant retirement, I meant you're not going to see me on the road anymore. I won't be travelling, I won't be doing those journeys. And I've taken no bookings for 2024. So I'm a man of leisure now, and this is almost like a night out here. You know?
Well, your voice is synonymous with boxing, and this level of boxing in particular right now. What's been the highs and the lows of your career with regards to the boxing?
I think the highs and the lows at first, when they started, white collar boxing started in 2 ways. It started with the 10-week challenge and 1 against 1, and you come in, you've never fought before, you do your 10 weeks, then you fight. And then it sort of took over from that, and then we had what we have now, the white collar. Some of the lows were, being honest, the early years of white collar, which were very poor with matchmaking, and some of the 10-week course stuff that I was asked to do a lot on, either MC or commentate on, and you'd see someone put in his 10 weeks work, total novice, that's all he'd done, and then his opponent either got injured or pulled out, got nerves, and they'd have to find a replacement because he'd sold tables and he'd sold this and he'd sold that, and then he was overmatched. And no matter what you say, ego can come into boxing. So I've seen very first timers back in the old days who'd lost their fight. The promoter didn't want to lose that fighter because they'd done the 10 weeks, they paid their money, and got in an ex-pro or someone that had experience and said, move around with him, which they did till the very first time that person actually hit them cleanly. Then the ego took over. Then it's, I can't afford to be in here as an ex-pro or as someone with experience and get hit like that. And then suddenly the 10-weeker didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
Thankfully, those days are moving away. I think the standards of white-collar boxing now, semi-professional, whatever you want to call it, are really raising. And with the influencer boxing as well, I think there's a platform for everyone now, Clint, and that's what I like. All I ever ask, I don't care what level it is, I have commentated on every single level, right up to and including professional boxing. As long as it's an even playing field, that's all I care about. Yeah. As long as the 2 guys in the ring have an equal opportunity, I'm all for it, every level, because somebody put on Facebook, which I agree, everybody should know what it feels like to get in the ring. I was knocked out in the ring, I don't mind saying, I was knocked out in the 3rd round of a bout, but you found out yourself, it can define you. So you get the armchair critics to go, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. That's not what I'm saying they should get in the ring. I think the experience, what you have to go through, the things you have to take on board for yourself, the fear you have to conquer, is something that everybody should experience to learn a completely different world. And you said it first earlier now in our interview, you learn about yourself as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. So I'm more than happy. This level has been very good to me across my career, and I'm not going to stab the people that have helped me. I feel white collar boxing now has come on in leaps and bounds. And you look at the 2 guys in our town, look at the shows they've been on. I mean, Look at the Mecca here.
Wow.
I mean, we had pro boxing here as well. Brilliant with the Nielsen's, what they're doing as well. All credit to them. But look at Steve, look at Rich. This is as good as anything you'll see. And it's a platform for people that now can live their dreams and experience what it's really like. So, Clint, I'm just grateful to have had the career I've had. And now I want to enjoy my retirement, and tonight's pure enjoyment.
You know, I champion men's mental health, and I'm a mental health ambassador down there in Cornwall. And my message is keep punching, and I really did that last week. But I want to encourage other fighters that have perhaps had 1 or 2 fights with their local area to step out their comfort zone, drive out of Cornwall like I have. I've come to Swindon, I didn't know what the crowd were going to be like, didn't have to be baying for my blood and want me to get knocked out, but it's not as bad as people think it is. You know, have a go.
Well, what I think, there's a twofold answer to that, Clint. I think you're right. Again, coming out of your comfort zone teaches you a lot about yourself, and you're kidding yourself as always the hometown fighter with the support and maybe an opponent pick that's had to travel a long way and all that brings. But also I feel when you talk about mental health, I think when you do that and you realise, as you've just said, it's not as bad as you think, and actually it's been an experience that can actually change your mentality, it can help you on a path to something greater. All I would say is that when you're doing that and you get the bug like you have, I'm always in favour of join a good club, join a good team, get the experience again across 30 years of doing this now, crikey. I've seen people go in, you hear the term independent fighter and they got their brother or their uncle or someone with them. If you're going to do this and you're going to do this regularly, get with someone that knows what they're doing, get the best preparation you can, and trust me, when you do that, you're learning and everybody will learn what boxing can really do for you, mentally and physically, Clint.
I feel very, very privileged that I've rubbed shoulders with you, and you've had all these years in the sport, and I can see what you're doing very close up. But what advice would you give me with my interviewing career, with my social media and public profile, what I'm trying to achieve and push forward? What little bit of advice would you give me that you've took, that perhaps somebody gave you, or something you've gathered and kept?
I think it's two things, Clint. One, just keep doing what you're doing. I've seen your social media profile, the way you dress. I mean, everything. You give an image. Image is everything. You need to stick in people's minds. I've stuck in people's minds for this old school image. Well, everything's changing. There's Mr. Dependable there. Not for everyone, but it's worked for the people that hire me. The other thing as well, which you learn over a period of time, is to stay calm and know the limits of your interview. Get to know the person you're interviewing quickly. Now, with me, you can stay in here for half an hour. I'm going to talk. I'm going to say things. But then you'll also find you'll get someone that is totally different to me and will be very nervous. And you'll get, know when to take over, say what they're thinking for them, and get out of there. So that's all I'd say is, know your interviewee, have a word beforehand if you can. Sure. Have a quiet chat with them, put them at ease like that, tell them what questions you're going to ask, and then you'll immediately find, oh God, like me, this guy's going to talk forever, so realise what you want to say, or you're going to realise this guy's got language problems, might be somebody from abroad, or the guy's very shy. And that's the biggest thing I can tell you, is if you do that little bit of preparation and know when to get out.
I've learnt so much in the year that I've been doing this, because I look back on a video from a year ago and I was and I've learnt to replace that with a pause, a silence. Every time somebody's talking, I'm thinking of something new to ask them, and being a barber for 30 years has been very, very helpful.
That's the thing, Clint. That's what I'm saying. With a barber, you've got that rapport, and I think that's another thing. That's the word I thought of. Get a rapport with your interview subject. I mean, depending on what type of interview it's going to be, as you know, some of them are short sound bites in here, but I honestly feel like with the way podcasts are going and everything, that's your future as well. I mean, with the subject that you're taking on, men's mental health, which we're only now learning to talk about. I mean, I'm 64, my generation, you don't talk about it, And so I just feel, Clint, there's only one way to go for you. It could just get bigger. And I think you've got the two types. You've got in here now, and you might have 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We're lucky the show hasn't started. You've got plenty of time with me. But I also think the other side of the coin, sit down with someone, and I think people would like to hear you really go through the interviews with them, because as you said, you've got the technique, you've got the pauses, you know when to let them talk, you know when to interject. Let's see more. That's what I say.
Yeah. When I fought Tillon in September, when I watched the video and your commentary over it, I'd never had a fight and had commentary before, and it really made it feel very special. And I hear you're going to be doing the commentary on my latest fight from last week. It's just such a privilege. But for these guys to jump in the ring and get somebody commentate on it, it's like hitting the big time, like being on Sky TV for them. It's something like they'll never experience.
It's really weird, Clint, because this is going to sound awful, but over 30 years, I take what I do for granted. I can walk in now half an hour before a show and get the commentary nailed, or I can be late because we've had traffic problems, and I'm there 5 minutes before and I look at the card and then I just go. And for me, it's the same. what I've had to learn over the years, especially when I put that retirement post up, some of the people commentating was how they say, you commentated on my first ever fight, I couldn't believe it, or I've been boxing 10 years and finally you commentated on my fight. Now, people that know me over the years, I haven't got that ego. You won't see a huge post from me saying, I've just done this, I've just done that. But what did hit me was how much it meant to so many boxers and kickboxers over the years to say, you commentated on my first fight. And one of them would say, you commentated on my fight, and then I heard you on Cage Rage the week after. And I was going, that's the guy that commentated on me. I've learned to appreciate that now, especially as I've looked back and retired. So all I've ever done for anyone is, you know as well as I do, with social media now. I'll give you an example. I love the Aussie guy that does the commentaries. I couldn't be like that. When I know two people getting in the ring, and it might be their one and only fight, and they're going to have a commentary on that, and they're going to listen to that back and back, I cannot go, he's just crap, he's just, what's he doing in here? I look for the positives in everything, and I try to be honest with who's won, because I've got to look both fighters in the eye.
Yeah.
So if you're both fighting on the night, and I say to you both, I thought you had that was that close, and then you listen to the commentary, one of you is going to be shocked because I've actually gone the other way.
Yeah.
So I've always learned honesty is what's kept me in this game for 30 years. If you come up to me and say, Mal, I saw the scorecards on that last one, what did you think? I thought I was robbed. I take a deep breath and go, Clint, when you watch it back, I thought you lost 2 of the 3 rounds. And I've stuck by that, thick or thin. And I've realised that because of that, people have appreciated it. And now, as I'm close to retirement, full stop, and looking, it was a real privilege to realise what impact I had on it. I never really knew until I started reading some of the comments that the impact it made on people having that commentary done. It's something I've always been able to do. Haven't had to think about it. I wish I could say that I had to learn and develop. It came like that. My wife says because I can't shut up. You know, he's a big mouth. But to realise the impact it did have on other people has been very humbling, you know.
And I think you've just said it there. You know the impact you've had on people, but I want to tell you from myself and the people in the boxing industry and the boxing business, thank you very much for your career. You're winding down in your career now, and you've said that you're not taking bookings, you're staying local. But, you know, massive respect to you, and thank you for everybody that you've, you know, rubbed shoulders with in the sport, commentated, gave a little bit of advice, because if there wasn't people like Malcolm Martin, there wouldn't be this level of boxing, and there wouldn't be other levels of boxing that they can go to. So, you know, everybody out there and myself, thank you very, very much for your service to the sport, and I admire for what you do, and thanks for taking interest in what I'm doing. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Clint. And one last thing, keep on keeping on, because as I said, I don't just think in the ring, get those podcasts going, get your story out there, get the mental health awareness, take it to the next level, mate. You can more than capable of doing that.
Okay. Take care, keep punching.
Thank you.
Keep
Thank
punching.
you very much.
Cheers. I'm here with Malcolm Martin. Thank you.